Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son, George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Unfortunately, she passed on 1/1/2020. We started TogetherForSharon.com in her memory. Today I have a special guest with us who I always say is like family, but this one truly is because we've known each other for some time, but we share a lot that others at this point don't. And that's we both lost a loved one due to Parkinson's. And it's something that touches home for me and also for her. And I just want to welcome you to the show. It's been such an honor to become family, and there's so much more still to do together. And Ava, please, again, just want to welcome you to the show, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. It's my honor. And thank you for all you do, George. It's an incredible amount and certainly helps our cause. So
No,
I appreciate you.
Thank you. And today is important because I also want to mention this book, which I actually was honored enough to gain a copy of. So thank you for that. And it just really, we're going to go in depth, I hope, today on that. But if you can open up the show with just telling us a little bit about your journey or what brought you to the words Parkinson's. And unfortunately, we also will bring up dementia because I believe my mother also had that late onset dementia. So it's important to discuss. And I wish we were here for everything, but unfortunately we got stuck, with dementia and Parkinson's, and it's definitely almost like two journeys colliding, which made it even more difficult. So again, I'd love to hear more about what brought you to the table today.
Sure. Well, thank you. And hello, everybody. I'm Ava Butler, and by day, I'm an organizational development consultant and leadership coach. And I was married for 25 years to Richard Ping, the love of my life. And about 15 years into our journey of being married together, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And he was a bit of a hypochondriac. And so he's always coming up with something. And I'm like, no, and so he said, I have Parkinson's. And I said, no, you don't. And then when he was diagnosed, I thought, damn, he was right. And then I thought, well, so what? It's just going to be a little tremor, like it's not a big deal. Of course, anybody who's been on this journey knows that it is a big deal. Richard and I were very proactive. We did everything we could around eating and exercising and neurologists and all kinds of different treatments that we could use. Unlike some people, we were very open about his diagnosis. And welcomed people in. One of the good things, if there's good things, when you are surrounded with, when you've got somebody who's got a disease like Parkinson's, is you learn how much you're loved and how many people really care for you. I don't know what your experience was, George, but people that hardly knew us were so gracious and kind. And so, yeah. And then what we also discovered is that he had, we didn't know it, and his neurologist didn't diagnose it at the time. He got diagnosed in 2010, that he also had Lewy body dementia. And we'll maybe get into this more, but with Lewy body dementia, it's very common with Parkinson's, and you don't really know what came first, the physical symptoms or the cognitive issues. But for us, that was a big deal because lots of fear and hallucinations and things that we didn't know what was going on. So over time, because of who I am in my job, I became an advocate for Richard and an advocate for Parkinson's. And over the years, I've helped a lot of people. I do whatever I can, like be on webinars, podcasts like this, George, and thanks again for that. I've done some work with the Michael J. Fox Foundation and contributed to their book, or I guess it was a brochure, Thinking, Memory, and Parkinson's Disease. I had to look it up. It was written in 21. So that's a resource for anybody out there. And then I wrote the book, which was part of my own healing. I kept a journal. Thank you. You're very good. Thank you, George.
Or with Zoom.
And look, my jacket even matches it.
We're all like saying earlier, I'm glad I didn't wear my light blue jacket, or we'd all be we had to plan.
You'd be jiving. I wrote the book partially as part of my own healing and partially to help other people who are not less far along on the journey. And I do some other work. I'm on the board with the Parkinson Movement Disorder Alliance as an example. So quite active still.
Thank you for sharing
It's
that.
an honor.
And a lot of what you say kind of brings me back too, because my mother, we believe, had Parkinson's for 15 years, but towards the last 4, I was never prepared, or nor anyone could be, to learn about a little bit. I'm not sure if she had late onset dementia or Lewy body or just the reaction to the medication changes, but the hallucinations and delusions. And I wrote in my book, as you did, how that was almost another, I felt like some days I was a nail and like a hammer just hitting me each time, because every time we wanted to come up for air or find a solution or some way just to help her, there was a new thing. And the thing with dementia characteristics, and again, it's very important to note everybody's journey is so different. It just happens ours might be similar, but many don't have, hallucinations and delusion. But we
Right.
could probably spend hours just talking about that. But the night I found out my mother was really in need of me to take over almost her life was when she went for a special study at a university. She came home at 4 a.m. I was rushed over to their home, and she was moving her furniture out, thinking there were Nazis inside that were going to harm her. And that was literally the first day, the end of my life, really, as I knew it. And it wasn't just the Parkinson's, but it was a combination that really put fear into me. And that's when I decided I need to do more. So I really appreciate you sharing it, because it helps people, not just me, but everyone out there listening who feel alone. I felt alone as a caregiver, and she felt alone as a Parkinson's patient
Right.
or someone diagnosed. So having this book, which I reviewed and read, is very important in my opinion, or any of these, because
Yeah.
really sheds light. And I liked how you actually used dates and times. I did the similar type of thing, because you kind of, when you bring people to that moment, kind of opens their eyes, more shocking than just kind of talking about it. But maybe
Right.
we could talk about what made you want to write a book, because I've written books in constitutional law and policing, because that's my background, but not in this field. And I already have several more coming, and I didn't want to, but I was shocked to find out there aren't any sons who lost their loved one, mother, due to Parkinson's in the world. They wrote a book, which is kind of, in a way, tragic, because I wish more people would talk about their experiences. But what made you kind of, push to the limit to want to share such intimate things, which I admire and appreciate?
Well, I mean, I do a lot of writing for my work, and I've written books for business before, like on how to run meetings, something completely different.
Right.
And as I was saying, it was more, I kept a journal, and not journals aren't for everybody, but for me, it helped a lot to manage my emotions and to document things that Richard was doing and saying. I mean, he'd say some wild things, like, with his hallucinations and other things. And sometimes he'd say things that were so poignant. Just as an aside, he said at the last elections, oh no, the ones that would have been in 2016,
Mhm.
he said, "We're living in the days of thunder." And I still quote him.
Mhm.
I mean, how prophetic was that from a man who's like hallucinating? But so I wrote the book, as I said, for part of my own healing and to help others. And it's kind of scary, because you're saying things like, I was scared a lot. I mean, I was scared and hopeful and loving and, all kinds of emotions. But I was, it was not happy. I mean, moments were happy, but the journey, it's a lot of, no, I was going to say burden. I don't think I want to use burden. It takes a lot of effort if you're the care partner or you're the main caregiver, and you know that, George. It's your journey with them. So I did it as part of healing. The same, that's why I started the website that I put the blogs on periodically. It's just a way of giving back. And I didn't have a good network. I mean, there's Parkinson's support groups and things, but there's so many things that I've been able to share with other people that I wish I would have known. I do, and through my writing is also, every now and then somebody says, would you talk to my cousin? Her husband has Parkinson's, and, that kind of thing. So I do a lot of that kind of mentoring too. So it's just, that's a long-winded way of saying it's just a way for there's
That's one of my
Tacoma.
favorite. I had a Bichon Frise when I was a child. I love that. And then the other story I wanted to show is the basketball, because oddly enough, his friend's name was George, and I played basketball for my whole life. So I love that he was a basketball player. But there's so many incredible areas. And again, the big thing that's so similar is, if you think you might have seen my book, but it literally, I think the timeline is very important, because it shows the story, and it also keeps it in a very important order. So everyone out there, we're going to share this too, but please support Ava and pick up a copy, and it's available on Amazon. So at this moment, I'd like to also share a few things, if you don't mind. And the first one is, today's a thank you session in a way, because I want to thank you for doing your an interview with us. If everyone goes to TogetherForSharon.com, click on interviews, you'll see more about Ava's journey, and also her husband. And my goal is that no person ever lost due to Parkinson's or dementia is ever forgotten. So I wanted to thank you for doing that interview. And then you even partaked in something that means a lot to me, and we just started a few months ago, called the In Memory interview. Luckily, for regular interviews, I was able to find almost 1,000 people. But when you talk about in memory, it's not as easy. I find a lot of people might lose a loved one due to Parkinson's or dementia, and they kind of go on back to their own life, and it's reasonable and things, but I don't want anyone to ever be forgotten. So I wanted to thank you. We've had a nice turnout. You can see I met Jana Reno, and your journey was very important, and even my journey's on there. Muhammad Ali's daughter too was amazing enough. So I want to thank you for that. And then if everybody has a moment, please go to dementiaForDessert.com, and maybe you could tell us about how you came up with the name as we show how everyone can purchase a copy.
Well, my husband had an incredible sweet tooth. He was a sugaraholic, which is not helpful if you've got any kind of issue where you've got inflammation. But thank you for that. So he, the dementia was a surprise. And so I just called it Dementia for Dessert as a way. And the cupcake is just a cute little thing.
I feel like going to have a cupcake after we finished. I'll have to share our journey too. I like this area that you can share your story. Maybe we'll have to send our story.
Please do. Or I could direct people to you, actually. That would be a good idea, George. Let's talk about that later.
No, I appreciate it. Like every person I speak to, I always come up with more ideas as we speak. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's great. So I appreciate that. And dementia, I will say just a few more things about Lewy body dementia. As I said, and I don't know, did anybody ever use those words, George, when with your mom? They just said, oh, it's like cognitive decline.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that I don't think we went to experts and things, 15 medical professionals, and didn't really get much. I even asked one to come in a room alone with me and say, what's going to happen with my mother, because we were told so many times you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it, but she had no medical issues at all. So obviously you can say that, and I don't want to be the one to break the boundaries and say otherwise, but it could have been a side effect of the medicines or the timing and things. But for some reason, she progressed so quickly and only passed at a young age of 69. Even today, I'm still in shock.
Yeah, that's young. That's how old Richard was too. And everybody's journey is different. Some are very fast, some are slow. Nowadays, people do know about Lewy body dementia. There's a lot more about that. And Robin Williams had Lewy body dementia, and he's, of course, a very famous actor and comedian. And his movie called Robin's Wish was very helpful. His wife made that happen to talk about his journey. Now, he was more on the Lewy bodies
Right.
side, not the Parkinson side, although he did get diagnosed with Parkinson's. And they can't really tell what the main issue is right now unless they do a biopsy, autopsy, once you're passed, unless there may be some new tests that are available. But it's part of the journey. And, when I say to people, my husband was hallucinating and it wasn't the nice 1960s kind.
Yeah.
Like, no, completely fearful, like your mom moving the furniture, the Nazis are there, you're not safe. And it catches you off guard because you don't know what to do or say.
Yeah, we
Until
even
you
had,
start to learn through just trial and error what works.
and my mother was like the kindest, friendliest person, but we had to remove the phone because she was calling the police, thinking that, and I'm in the police, and but she was thinking that the caregivers were harming her, and I had to put video cameras in. And thankfully, they weren't. But it was, I always believed my mother and wanted the best for her, so we did anything we could to keep her at home and comfortable. She made me swear not to put her in, the nursing home, and we were able to do that, but it cost over like $15,000 a month towards the
It's
end
a
of.
lot.
But again, I appreciate you sharing that. We send our love and support to you and the family. Of course, it's late, but it's never really too late because
Right?
a lot of what you're saying brings back important memories for me
Yeah,
that I think, like you, I really, this talk today helps me and everyone I speak to because out of the darkness and the loss comes a bright, shining light of hope. And that we do this so other people hopefully will find the cure and they don't have to go through this anymore. So I appreciate again your friendship and all you do. I also want to thank you. We just started recently too. I'm always trying to just think of ways to get awareness, and we added a section
Mhm.
on books, and you're one of them right there. So I want to
Yeah,
thank you also
your
for
book's
that.
great too. I'm glad
Uh,
you had to have that at the very top.
yeah, yeah, you actually did it by alphabetical order, so I don't want everyone to think we're on topic because it's me. It just happened to be Ackerman. So I tried to keep it in alphabetical. And then the most
Well, you know
important.
what? If your name started with Z, you should still be at the top.
No. And then this is the most important link, of course, for everyone listening. Please go to Amazon. You can search Parkinson's, a love story with dementia for dessert, and you'll be able to see Ava's book and support her. And it's, kind of tale that doesn't end. We still have to relive it daily until we are able to find a cure. So again, I
Yeah,
just want to thank you for that.
yeah, of course.
I
Of
don't know
course.
if there was an area you wanted to touch on that I might have missed. Otherwise, I wanted to shift a little more about you and all you do.
Okay, well, I wanted to ask you, maybe just for other people,
Please.
if we could share just a few tips of if you've got somebody who's hallucinating and fearful like that, what works and what doesn't work? Is that okay to talk about for a minute?
That's actually something very important that we should definitely discuss. If I had a magic ball of topics, that would be the first one. So please take it away.
Well, I think, like you said, cameras are helpful because so you really know what to do. But I'm sure you found like if you start arguing with your mother, or in my case, my husband, no, there's nobody there. It's fine. What are you talking about? Then you're part of the problem.
Right.
You are no longer a trustworthy person. So I had to be very careful to say, "Oh, I don't see that, honey. Like, what are you seeing?" And like have him draw it out. Like, what are they doing exactly? And like he'd tell me some scary things,
Right.
which I would write down, which is when in the book some of them. But to say we're safe and secure, um, those people look mean, but they're really nice. They're not going to hurt us. Or acknowledging it. I mean, those are some things that I would do. What were things that worked for you, George?
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, when I was with my mother, she felt safe. I don't know if it was just she knew it was me and things, but I mean, we had to fire about 60 different aids. We didn't want her to fall. That was the most important thing because I
Yeah,
knew on top of Parkinson, dementia, if she fell, that would have been a new issue and we couldn't, do much more. I didn't want to have to put her in a home. So we just, so when I wasn't there, she would call. So in my book, I write, she might have called like 60 times a day. And we used to speak 10 times a day about life. And she was my best friend, always will be. and she always was the first person by my side to encourage me and throughout everything. I mean, I wanted to give up law school, the bar exam, the police department, everything. And she was always by my side. The PhD was not easy, and she always said never give up. So I knew that I couldn't. But and that was kind of the hardest thing even today, not having her to be the first person to pick up the phone and call and share stories with her. Our favorite time was sitting in the backyard with her three grandchildren, just blowing bubbles. So even through that was very difficult to explain to the kids, what their grandmother was going through. But I don't really have a right answer. Like you said, it's just each person had a journey. We just tried our best, but I never trained, and I don't think you can, to be a caregiver.
No, it tests you. I mean, I certainly am a better person now. And I'm a lot more patient, and present, because with Parkinson's or Lewy body dementia, you have to be present. You can't be like, and every day is a gift. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of things to learn. And I think like you, George, my husband was always more comfortable when I was there. And we went through a lot of caregivers, and it's very tiring because every time you got to train a new one, and you're like, there are a few caregivers that are, I mean, I've got caregivers that are still friends of mine. I'm the godmother to one of Richard's favorite nighttime caregiver. Noah's 7 years old now. So, that ecosystem is so important. And, also I would say, whenever I had friends over, and not a group of people, no, not a lot, a few people at a time, I would always warn them what to expect and how to, if Richard starts to, get upset about something, how to manage it, etc., so they would feel more comfortable. You showed the picture of the dog. The dog was a big help.
Yeah.
My so-called friends forced that dog on me. I did not want a dog, but the dog was a good thing.
Yeah, even we tried, music therapy was nice, but some days she was too sick to go through some of them. She asked for a dog, but then I would have to take care. We already had a dog,
I
so
get it.
it
I
was
know.
hard. But they definitely, I think animal therapy is important. We're having someone on the show in the next few weeks of that runs canines for, it's like a canine group that brings dogs to individuals with Parkinson's,
Neat.
dementia. And it's a beautiful thing. And animals are great. I have one. I had to take her out of the room. She'd be barking while we're talking, but
Nice.
name's Carolina, and she's a mix of husky, so not something else, but they definitely make you smile during the tough times.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did not want that dog. It was going to have to be my dog, and it was, but it was a godsend.
Yeah, well, that's an important tip to everyone out there listening then to, if you can, it is a big responsibility, especially on top of caring for a loved one, but animals, even if it's a friend, a neighbor, a cousin, or, bringing the dog in a few hours maybe, and you'll see a smile light up your loved one's face, I'm sure.
Yeah. But not some yappy puppy. It's
Yeah,
going to upset people. Like, you got to chill. Like,
yeah,
I'm sure those dogs that are for Parkinson's are trained to be chill.
right. I need them to train me sometime because I can't relax.
I don't know. You must not sleep, George. You're
That's
just
probably,
doing so many things.
yeah, it's just that every time I meet someone like you inspires me. I feel that number one, your journey needs to be in the world and people need to be aware. And I always say the only journey that breaks my heart is the one I'm not aware of. Because just a week or two ago, learned about the gentleman who sailed across the world almost on a sailboat to raise money. They raised over $20 million for Parkinson. I think they're going to come on the show eventually, but those are every day you want to kind of sit back, maybe say your time is done or take a little break. I see that and I'm like, no, we can't stop because we need a cure. So we have to keep fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there will be a cure.
Yeah. And I
There
just,
will be a cure.
and a lot of what, again, the aspect of our talk today is very different in the first one because of our journeys and how so many areas are similar. So I'm again so grateful for your time and friendship beyond just this. And also I always say too, shouldn't always say, I always say, but I'm gonna keep saying it because you have to, this, after today, this has to be shared everywhere and multiple times. It can't just be a talk that kind of, you say hi, half hour, goodbye. Until we find a cure, there's people out there like us that need to know they're not alone. And this is a topic I can get into way too much and we don't have the time, but there's individuals who are diagnosed who I love. There's individuals today caregiving for loved ones who have Parkinson's. But there's a world of people like us who lost a loved one due to Parkinson's and often are, in my opinion, forgotten. And that's something that, again, I'm working on a book about, but it'll be the first one. It might break the barriers and break down some walls. It might be a little bit controversial, but I think that people, if we brought back the millions and millions of people who lost someone due to Parkinson into this group and awareness, I think it would be so much stronger, more powerful, and together so much more can be accomplished. But till then, it'll just be us and those out there that will join us in this family to fight for a cure.
Well, it takes a village.
Yeah.
In this case, it's a pretty darn big village.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Now I just want to shift a little bit about to you as we kind of wrap up. Can you list 3 words that describe who you are?
Ooh,
I get the same result for every time I ask.
3,
You are allowed to pass.
no, I won't pass.
You won't pass
No,
go and you
I'll
took.
say, caring, cognizant, and a learner, a lifelong learner. How's that?
I love that. And then what is one moment or one most memorable moment that stands out most through all your work with awareness so far?
One moment?
Yeah, like the most impactful that you have. Obviously, there's probably more than one, but maybe there's just that one you can share.
Um, as I mentioned, I help people who are mainly the care partners, more than the person with either Parkinson's or the Lewy body dementia. And and everybody's journey is different. So you can never say, here's exactly what's going to happen. But normally people don't understand the progression, digression, and saying, well, you're predicting that something's going to happen, like they won't be able to find their way home. Like, or if he's hallucinating, or she, here's some things to do. And things that that haven't happened yet, but I'm predicting what they will happen. And then they call me back later and say, Ava, I am so glad you told me that, because I would not have had a clue what to do. And they do things in their own way, but I can help them make their journey a little less frightening, because it's the fear of the unknown. It's still frightening,
Yeah.
but at least you kind of know what to expect, or I refer up for books for them. So that's probably the most rewarding.
Thank you. And who helps you during times of struggle? Because I know that as both of us have been caregivers, what tips can you give caregivers who might be listening? But I always like to bring out the person or people behind the scenes that, obviously we're kind of public and we're out there advocating, but during tougher times, even through the struggles with your husband, who is there to kind of help support you?
Well, my family and my friends, I mean, people were so generous. And in the airplane, they say, put your own oxygen mask on before helping others. It's true. If you're like run ragged and you haven't slept for days and you're all freaked out, you're not going to be patient and kind and present and for the one that you need to be there for. So take care of yourself. And I have good friends who still, Ava, the caregivers are there. We're going out and you're having a martini and that's it. Like, or, get to the gym, do whatever you want. People that would come and stay with Richard so I could go to sleep or get to the gym or whatever. So those people are they still are near and dear to my heart. people remind me it's been 7 years since he passed. I'm thinking of you on this day. Things that it's not just, okay, they're gone and then that's over.
Right.
Your job as a friend is over. No, it's not.
Well, this show today will be in memory of your husband, and we'll make sure as best we can that he'll never be forgotten. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Is there something, this is a tougher one, is there something you might have done differently looking back in the past 10 years?
Since he's passed, you mean? Or
Or even during the
when
caregiving?
he was there? Um, I wish I was more patient. At the beginning, I didn't know what was going on and it would make me angry. I mean, like, you're ruining our holiday, dear. Like, we're at Thanksgiving dinner and he has got to get up because he can't take it anymore. Like, there's too many people. I was not happy and I was angry, and I'd yell in the car like, God, well, I shouldn't swear.
Or
But,
we don't edit on purpose. We make it real.
so I wish I would have known more, so I could have been more patient. I would say to everyone, honor every day. It's a gift. Even though your day might suck and you're about ready to lose it, it might be your last one.
No, I really appreciate the honesty because I think it goes so far that someone again out there listening will also be able to think about the same situation if they're going through it and realize again they're never alone. If here's a fun one, we'll switch from the tough topic. If you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it?
Um,
That's why we
what
don't
a
give you these questions.
I would take the Grateful Dead song, Truck, and and then I would call it What a Long Strange Trip It's Been.
Nice. I have one more final question, then I want to
Okay.
give you the floor to tell if I missed any areas you want to touch on, and also how can people reach you. But if you could leave the Parkinson's community and dementia today with some words of encouragement, what would those be? And while you're thinking,
I would say, sorry, go. You're so good, George. I would say there's a lot that's not in your control. Like, you can't make yourself not have Parkinson's. But you can eat right, you can exercise, you can have fun with your friends, you can, whatever it is that you can. So I'd say focus on what you can do and be and what you can be grateful for and proud of, and live every day to its fullest.
and how can individuals out there, or I was going to say the fans, but everyone viewing this today, and please share it. Please go to dementia4dessert.com and you can pick up a copy of Ava's
Yeah,
book.
that's the easiest
Also
way.
goes a very far way because you're helping other individuals learn about her journey. And how could everybody listening reach out to you if they had any questions?
They can get to me through the website, or my personal email is ava@avasbutler.com. That's Ava, AVAS for Sue, BUTLER.com. So you can reach me that way. Or if all else fails, call George. He can find me.
Sounds good. And I just want everyone to know there are some exciting things in the works that we're going to be doing together. I'm going to again make sure your husband's journey is never forgotten, and so grateful for all you do. I have a little message for you and everyone listening. We love you all. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Ava, will advocate for you, and together I feel our voices are so much stronger. And I always say I'm just getting started because, like I said, 7, 8 months ago, we never knew each other. And every day I kind of want to maybe say to myself, George, you need a break. You're doing too much. Then I come across you, so I'm not blaming you, but you completely motivate me, inspire me, and make me want to never give up. So it's really so many people out there that have really become like family, the 99.9%. There, we will talk the negative one that are out there that will be in one of my future books. We'll also discuss in the future, but just incredible to finally have the ability to see you and talk to you and thank you almost in person, even though we're virtual. So thanks for all you
Well,
do.
And I will say, George, pace yourself, honey. Take that advice, put your own oxygen mask on before helping others. We need you on the earth, so you stay healthy.
I appreciate it. Well, thanks again for joining us today, and thank you everyone listening. Please share this. Please support Ava and all she does. It means the world to me
And
too.
George,
But this has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. And I always say it's not the end. We have a lot more work to do. The National Plan to End Parkinson's recently passed, but we have to make sure it's implemented properly. Very curious in the future to see how it could affect individuals with Parkinson's and their families, because we didn't have that opportunity. I'm still shocked that this is the first legislature ever. I don't know, what was happening the last 50 decades, but thankfully it did pass. So, stay tuned, everyone. Please follow Ava, please follow us. And we're doing this in memory of our loved ones, but for everybody today battling this disease and your caregivers. So thank you all. We send our love and support. Thank you.
thank you. Appreciate it, everybody.